That is SteamOS running absolutely natively on my Steam machine at home, as I call it. This right here is a Minisforum HX100G. You can get a few different configurations of this. There's like the HX99G and some different ones, which have slightly different CPUs and GPUs. This one here is what I probably perceive as the best option. 7840HS CPU, which is fantastic. It's an 8-core CPU, and it's still actually sold by AMD as a AMD 260, so it's still recent, I guess I'd say. And this here has the AMD 6600M GPU. So dedicated graphics, no iGPU needed here. It has a good iGPU if you needed it, but we don't because we have the dedicated graphics. This thing here was plug and play. I literally loaded up SteamOS on this USB right here. I plugged it in and I installed it, and everything was detected immediately. I didn't have to install any drivers. I didn't have to install anything. I literally installed Steam and it was good to go. Everything was recognized. Everything is plug and play. Wi-Fi, graphics, CPU, all the stuff, plug and play. You can see here, everything is working well, completely standard, absolutely no problems whatsoever. Of course, it works like the Steam Deck, I guess, or whatever. This is probably what the Steam machine will be. I'm assuming they're not going to change the interface here. Ooh, looks like there's an update. Ooh, cool, we'll do that. Very nice. That came out, I think, yesterday. Of course, we can also go back to, desktop mode or whatever here. So we'll go back to desktop mode here, switch to desktop. There's a few tweaks you can do in desktop mode, just like a Steam Deck or whatever. And basically the only thing that I tweaked when I did, because I added more storage. So the only thing that I had to do is just like you would have to do with a Steam Deck, if you're adding a ton of extra storage to it, you can just, add it in here. Otherwise it's good to go, right? Everything is recognized. Everything is plug and play. We have essentially what is a Steam machine here, really months ahead of it. And the thing is, it wasn't very expensive. Honestly, that's the thing. So this machine here, I think, oh, geez, how much did it cost me? I think if we convert it out, it would be, and add in everything, $500? I think it was about $600 for this here, like with the RAM and everything. I think they were cheaper before, but prices are going up. I'm sure after I make this video, they'll go even more expensive. I do have this hard drive here. This is a 4 terabyte, which isn't necessary, but I decided to add it in so that I can get some extra storage as well, so I don't have to just download stuff all the time. So I'm just loaded games on here. Inside here, we do have 2 RAM slots, so you can upgrade it, and there's 2 NVMe slots. I have the first one with a 1 terabyte with the operating system on it, and I have the second one with a 2 terabyte. Now, you can find these with RAM and SSDs in them. I think a lot of them are actually being sold like that, but just in case, you get one bare bones, they're very easy to set up, or, upgrade down the road. So I'll just do this live real quick. So I just take off the bottom, those little strips there. They're just little rubber things. There you go, pop that open. Very easy. Just showing you guys how easy this thing is to get inside of. Okay, that plate comes up. That's just structure. And there we go. 2 RAM sticks inside right there. 16 gigabytes, 8 and 8. You can do what you want with it. That's more than enough for SteamOS. You'd probably never need to go above that. I guess if you were using it as like a true desktop replacement as well, I guess you could, but SteamOS is so efficient it doesn't really need it. There you go, Wi-Fi there, detected. Came with 1 NVMe, I installed a second. Actually, that was the one that came with it. Came with 1 in there, and then I installed a second right there. So very easy to upgrade, right? You can get in lots of storage here. Storage is kind of expensive now, but easy for you to upgrade right there. RAM, easily swappable. SSD, easy swappable. Has all these ports on it as well, so you can upgrade as you go. These actually do come shipped with liquid metal. I decided to inspect it. I had a look at the liquid metal just to check how it was. It was very well done. It had these like rubber gaskets around to make sure it's not leaking out, with plastic over it, like the clear plastic, to make sure there was no way that the liquid metal could get out, leak into the system. I did decide that even though the liquid metal was, very well done and there was no real problems with it, it was a nice even spread, I did decide to just swap it out for PTM 7950. If you want to slap in an SSD, put it in there, format it, get it set up in SteamOS. You've expanded your storage. You can also just use the external stuff there, like I do with my little hard drive here. Let's talk about the specs here on this machine here. This one here has an AMD 6600M GPU, which is around a 4060 or something like that. It's pretty much what will be in the Steam machine. I believe the Steam machine, it's not, everything's not perfectly confirmed yet, but I believe the Steam machine actually has a 7600M, which is slightly faster. You can get this machine here with the 6650M, which has a CPU, a core clock boost, that kind of stuff, a little bit more watts, but it'll be around the same as well. So it'll be around the same, slightly, potentially maybe a few percentage slower on the GPU, but Very, very similar. This has a much more powerful CPU though. This one here has the AMD 7840HS, which is an 8-core CPU with 16 threads. It's, I believe, the Steam machine is going to be the 6-core variant, so this will be more powerful, specifically quite a bit more powerful in terms of the CPU. You get the front one, which I'm not using Bluetooth right now, I'm just plugging it in, but that's fine. USB-C if needed, USB-A if needed, audio there. You have here Ethernet, which is great. You have your more USB-A, so I have other things plugged in. Technically, you have 2 HDMI out, which is really nice. You can hear here, it runs very quiet as well. So under idle, about half a dB above my noise floor. It has 2 fans here and a giant heat sink inside, which is very nice. So it's going to get very good airflow, run nice and cool. Very nice. I've been using this for like a week now, so this is like a time jump. So, I mean, I can spoil it in the whole video and tell you it works really well. I've played all kinds of games in here, all kinds of games. But you can see here, everything is like completely native, right? You come in here, you can come down, right? We have our standard updates. Right, we have our storage here, which, you know, I put a lot of stuff on the hard drive. So we can see here, I loaded up the hard drives with lots of stuff, just so I don't have to download all the time. You know, I also have my 2 terabyte, which is great. So between the two, I have 3 terabytes of fast storage, and you can game off all of those. And you could theoretically game off of the hard drive for, you know, older titles. I wouldn't play like Rebirth off of it. You'd have like pretty bad load times. So everything's looking great, right? We have everything's working great here, right? Recognizes this 8-bit DOE. Ultimate wired, no problem. It's also Bluetooth if I wanted to do that, or USB dongle, so if I wanted to do that, that's great. Everything's looking good, right? We have audio being detected just fine. All right, very good. Everything's looking great here. Display in here, we can see, you know, it recognizes the 4K screen, no problem. You can have it where it scales to whatever you want. Automatically set resolution. I'm on a 32, it actually knows it's a 32-inch screen, of course, too. I can scale as needed, right? I can do all kinds of standard stuff in here, just like you'd expect, right? Maximum game resolution. You can set this so that you only want it to be at 1080p, which on 4K will look fine, to be honest, because you get native integer scaling. So it actually will not look bad at 1080p. 1440p might look a little weird on a 4K screen. So if you have this hooked up to a TV, which I eventually will, I can do 4K output where needed. I can do 1080p native integer scaling where needed. And a lot of the time, for me, I'll just do 4K and I'll just use basically just FSR. Okay, so let's try Pragmata now. Again, then we'll go to desktop mode just to kind of get the performance metrics. I'm sure there's a way around this. Like someone who's like a Linux bro, I'm not a Linux guy, is going to come in here. I do use SteamOS a lot, but I use it on my Legion Go S, which is just comes with SteamOS. But I've been moving very strongly towards SteamOS. I still see the benefit of Windows. Obviously, Windows, you know, I can run GOG games, I can run all that kind of stuff. And yeah, you can get launchers in here, but it's just more native and that kind of thing. But when it comes to, you know, lower spec gaming, honestly, and maybe even mid-range or even higher spec gaming, and if it's just gaming, SteamOS goes very far. Okay, so let's test Pragmata here. Again, we're at 4K, which this is not a 4K GPU, as you can see, the VRAM, right? That's going to be the issue with whether you get the Steam machine or you get this. It's 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but you can do a lot with that. So you can come in here and you can just turn stuff down. So we'll go into preset here, and again, we're at 4K. So we'll go with performance. I think that'll be, well, we can probably go higher than that maybe. We'll go balanced. Okay, so there you go. So you can see that the VRAM is not going to be a problem. I'm just going to turn down some of these things to medium where possible. The VRAM is not going to be a problem. So you can see we'll turn that down. We can turn down textures a little bit here. Actually, that didn't affect performance at all. And I'm going to give you my experiential feeling here. And then, of course, we'll go back into game mode, or sorry, into desktop mode to get what is essentially the performance you'll get. So I'm going to give you guys just, you know, kind of how this feels here. So this is just balanced scaling on kind of that medium preset kind of thing. And we don't have VRAM issues here. And this is feeling nice. It's feeling fantastic, right? I'm also sitting very close to this. It's right in front of me because it's a giant 32-inch monitor and it's 2.5 feet away from me. You know, on a TV, even if it's a big TV, it's not going to be the same if you turn on a little bit more scaling, as long as you're not getting artifacting. You know, if there's a slight softness, it will be okay. But this is feeling pretty good. I'd say right here, it's definitely not running at 60. I would say we're running closer to 35 right now. Yeah, this is probably running closer to 30 right now, 30 to 35. So what we'll have to do is you'll have to go with some scaling, or you'll have to do some other stuff. So you can come in here, turn up the scaling, right? So I'm just saying this is just not feeling good right now. So we'll go performance. Let's see how this feels. Already better. This is probably running more like 40 right now. Still a little low. Still a little low for me. Okay, so we'll come in here, and this is a brand new game. This came out like a few days ago. So we'll come in here, and I'm just going to see what we can do here. And the reason that I'm doing kind of experiential is I just kind of want, you know, you're going to plug this into a TV. How does this actually feel, right, to play on it? So we'll come in here again. We're at 4K, so it's a bit rough here. So maybe what we'll do is we'll turn some of this stuff down. Electric lighting probably is fine. Screen space reflections might help a little bit there. Motion blur, I just don't like it. I don't like render in general. So we just turned some stuff down here. Let's see how this feels. It's still very respectable. This game actually looks good on like very bottom. Like if you stick it in performance, it'll run just fine. Oh, that feels way better now. It feels significantly better now. It looks, I mean, I can't tell any difference. I'm sure if I was pixel counting. I did just test this on an RTX 5090 desktop literally yesterday with everything cranked up and path tracing, and yeah, it looked pretty fucking good, to be honest, but that's not what we're talking about here. That's like a $4,000 desktop. Oh, this feels way better. Yeah, this is immediately better. Yeah, this feels way better. I don't know how much it should show up on camera, but this feels good now. I'm not getting motion sick. I'm not getting like micro hitching. This actually feels pretty good here. Right, so you're just going to have to, you know, put it in like performance or just like a medium type setting there, turn some stuff down, and you'll be fine at 4K on a TV, right? And this is what you'll be getting if you get something like this, or a Steam machine. This will be roughly around what a Steam machine is going to give you. This might be slightly faster because the CPU might be slightly slower because of the GPU, but I would say on average, having this more powerful CPU and just a tiny touch to the GPU might actually benefit us quite a bit. Because a lot of these, depends on the games. RE Engine is actually pretty heavy on the GPU more than anything. But, you know, nowadays, a lot of games can hit the CPU pretty hard. And this is feeling fantastic. Again, I've tested this on everything from a 5050 laptop and a 780M handheld all the way up to a 5090 desktop, which was quite literally yesterday. Oh, can I go in there? So now we'll test the same thing in, let's just do Pragmata rather than Hogwarts. Because it's the new hotness, and in here the overlay does work. So I'm sure it's just, you know, one little quirk in the desktop thing that someone can probably fix in 2 seconds and just be like, listen, bud, this is how you do it. And you can see here this all, okay, well that all works fine, and you can see it's popped up. It's working just fine. Very good. Okay, so we'll just do that same exact thing we just did, and we'll see what the performance is like. In game mode, there will be a slight bump. It won't be absolutely staggering, where, you know, it's 40% faster in game mode, but there will be a slight bump. So, you know, what we're getting here is probably just going to be ever so slightly better in game mode rather than here, just because it's like we have way less resource type stuff running. But yeah, see here, let's give that a little pop in there, and there we go. Okay, so it was running with the like better settings, as I said, closer to 60, and that's when I said it started to feel better. In here, it's going to drop down probably closer to 50, 55 would be my guess based on what I've tested so far. Let's see how good I am at assessing things, like raw FPS. Experiential FPS versus numerical FPS. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much exactly what I said. When I change those settings now we're around 60 FPS gameplay. So we'll just bring you up here. You can see 60, I mean, it's a little above, but once you get into action, it'll drop down to about 60. CPU here is quite powerful for the specification. It'll be no problem there. Running nice and cool, as you can see there. The GPU obviously being completely slammed. 8 gigabytes of VRAM to work with. 16 gigabytes system memory, no problems. Very efficient OS. And look at it, right? It's above 60, right? Yeah, we're not running 1080p native, but this is what you're going to get when you plug this thing into a TV. You're going to get 4K output, and you're going to play with settings to get it down to what is a respectable, 60 or something FPS. This is actually running better than I initially anticipated. It's actually running above. I was thinking it was more like 55 or so, but it's actually running slightly higher. The lows will drop down from time to time, but I mean, it's a 6600M. It's not the most powerful GPU. Now, the other thing we can do here, I think this will allow it, is we can come in here and we can go 1080p, like native 1080p. Native integer scaling. So we'll come in here, and on a 4K screen, 1080p actually looks fine because the pixels are basically divided out. Now we will massively turn down these scaling, probably off, to be honest, will be fine. I guess you could use dynamic resolution scaling. Look at that performance, right? 135 FPS. at 1080p native. So what we're going to do now is we're going to we're going to turn those settings back up. So we're going to go back to the, no, just so you guys know, this is kind of what to expect from a Steam machine. I can't tell you exactly because there'll be a slight difference in the GPU, and this has a much more powerful CPU, so it's hard to say. Maybe it'll be, I can't even say it's better optimized because this is very well optimized, but I don't know exactly how it's going to run. But we'll come in here now. We're actually going to go with balance mode. So we're going to go balance mode here on 1080p. We don't need that on. You can see all this stuff is turned up quite a bit. Now we'll kick back in. We can also try some frame gen, not that we're going to need it. I'm happy with frame gen so long as you hit 50 FPS or above. Then I'm happy with it because it'll feel fine. So this is now 1080p and it's cranked way up quite a bit to balanced. You could go higher. You just got to play within that VRAM. We're well above 60. So this is running the same as 4K with, you know, medium type settings, medium to low settings with a bunch of scaling. It's running about the same. This is 1080p with higher settings and no scaling at all. We could also throw on frame gen. So you don't need scaling to use frame gen unless I'm completely wrong on this and it automatically turns it on. But you can see here AMD FSR frame gen, but there's no scaling. And now you're at, because we were at a 75 base, right? We were at a 75 base before we used frame gen. I'm actually okay with frame gen. This game does not feel laggy and weird with frame gen, as long as you have a high base frame rate. And look at the performance, right? We're at 100 FPS now. This is at 1080p, but we're at 100 FPS. It's running quite well. Very good. Now, just one last thing we'll do before I think, oops, don't need that. I don't think we need to wrap too much more into this video. Okay, so there it is. Let's turn this light back on and we'll bring it back. You can buy what is almost very, very, very close to a Steam machine right now, and it does have native Steam OS support. Okay, and that's the video there. That's the Minisforum HX100G. There's a few different variants of this with slightly different names. This is a Steam machine in all but name. It is almost what is certainly to be very similar performance. It does have a more powerful CPU, slightly more powerful CPU, 2 more cores. It should outperform the Steam machine very easily there, and especially in CPU heavy tasks, so that's nice. The GPU here is going to be around the same, maybe a touch slower, it's hard to say. This one here runs at slightly higher watts than the Steam machine, but the Steam machine has a 7600M versus a 6600M or 6650M, whichever one you get, so they'll be around the same. This technically should be around the same performance of a Steam machine, if not slightly faster, depending. It has native Steam OS support. It was literally so simple as I installed Steam onto a USB, which took a minute, put it in here, booted it, installed it. It took maybe 10 minutes to get the whole thing set up, and then it was just Steam. I didn't do anything. It launched into Steam OS, and I started running. Everything was great. So that's the machine there. You know, the Steam machine keeps getting delayed and delayed. It'll be great. I'll pick it up, whatever. We have to be respectful with the Steam machine, what it is going to be. It's not going to be some 4K monster. It's going to be something around this, but you can see, of course, it can still game as long as you're reasonable with your settings, that kind of stuff. Much more comfortable at 1080p, you know, incredibly comfortable at 1080p, reasonably good at 1440p. 4K will work, you're just getting a lot of scaling, that kind of stuff, but it'll work. But that's my Steam machine right now. This is actually going to go live under my TV. I'm very happy with this product here. A little bit harder to find, but you can pick them up, you know, on eBay and that kind of stuff. I'm sure, unfortunately, you know, for people who are looking, probably start looking now because, you know, I'm not the biggest channel in the world, but I'm big enough that when people see something like this, they'll start to go look on eBay and they'll find it and they'll buy it. If I can find any listings from sellers that I know are decent, I'll put some listings down below to eBay, that kind of stuff. It might just be like random guy has one of these and is selling it, and then you can pick it up. So that's the machine there. It's looking pretty sweet.